quarter like you did the fourth, but the other plays that stood out, he saved the ball, and then even on that last possession, getting hands on the ball and kind of deflecting it back, kind of seemed to throw their timing off. I mean, what did he do tonight?
Like, he was in the game. Like, I really, besides like the scoring part of it, the leadership, the voice was great, even when we were getting maybe a little bit frustrated, because it was a very physical game. They,
Right.
you know, they were frustrated. We were frustrated. I think it was a hard game to officiate, you know, and he just kept messaging the guys all the time, like, just focus on what we can control, block that stuff out. You know, even just coming down the stretch when we got down by 10 or 8, you know, he's just kind of just I thought he was a great calming force for our guys, and he stayed in it. There was a couple threes there, I thought, in the fourth that he had that were pretty good looks that he didn't make. But you could just see that, okay, I'm going to be ready for the next one. But he was all the way around. His performance, his leadership, the defense, everything I thought was great.
His attack to the rim, it just seemed like they couldn't find anybody to slow him down once he made that decision. I mean, we've talked about deciding on closeouts, and he
Right.
didn't give them a chance to decide.
Right.
Was it a matchup thing where you guys just felt like they didn't have anyone that would keep up with him if he attacked like that?
Well, I thought trying to get him some space was going to be important because they decided to switch everything. They were switching 1 through 5, and then they ended up kind of going to a smaller lineup. They took Wendell out, and then they were switching with Boncaro and Wagner. But they had a switching lineup out there, and I think what happened, you know, was we kind of got some rolls in, and then I think because Kobe was coming with the head of steam, I thought some of those switches in space were hard to switch to because he's kind of already on a dead run, and the screen's already set, and that guy's got to kind of go from the screen out to a switch, and there was enough space, I think, for him to turn the corner several times.
Then you have the two bigs. I think Zach fouls out with like 9:44 left in the game, and then Jalen. First of all, Jalen, there wasn't 2 technicals and ejection. It was he's fouled out, and you guys just brought him to the back to cool down because he was obviously.
No, he got ejected.
Oh,
he did. He got ejected. Yeah. He fouled out and then got the tee, and I guess for whatever he said, they ejected him on that.
Okay.
Yeah. So he was ejected.
So you're down 2 bigs. What's the mentality then? Kind of just like, I mean, Julian came in and Modest, and I know you guys were playing some zone and trying different things. Was that you were just trying the kitchen sink, just giving them different looks?
I mean, we threw box and 1 out there. We were in zone. You know, Jalen went for a long stint when Zach picked up, you know, his 5th, and there was no way we were going to be able to play him all the way down, and I was hoping to maybe steal a couple minutes for Zach there and maybe get him out of the game without fouling out, throw Jalen back and maybe let Zach close. It just didn't work out that way. So when they both fouled out, I was really impressed with Julian and with Modest because I didn't think that in the first half and even to start the third that the physicality was there at all by either one of them, you know. And there's times where I understand, you know, the size of Boncaro or Wagner, you know, Batazde, you know, Wendell when they're up there, and those guys are hard to block. Like, I get that, but when you're not physically competing, like, and putting your body in plays and really, okay, you know, making them play through you a little bit. And then I thought when they got back in the fourth, I thought both those guys made a huge impact there. There was a couple loose balls that Modest got. Even though Julian had a goaltending, I thought he was aggressive trying to go offensive. Like, they were in the game. And I didn't feel like maybe earlier in the game they played that way, but it was good to see them to respond late competitively the way they did.
You mentioned the physicality. That felt like not a regular season game.
I agree.
To, you know, teams just fighting for a playing spot. That felt like more.
That was like a playoff game.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, in terms of the
Why do you think
physicality.
it was like that? Because both teams are so desperate? Or, I mean, did you get a...
Well, they have been this year, you know, top 5, 1, 2, 3, all season long defensively. You know, they're big, they're long, they're physical, they rebound. Because of the post-up situations with Boncaro and Wagner, even Wendell certain times or Batazde, you know, you have to bring help, so you have to be physical. So the game really called for a lot of physicality. And listen, they play physical. They turned us over, I think, 10 times in the first half. I don't know what we ended up with for the game, but we turned it over too much. But there was a lot of fouls called. I think both teams, you know, going to the rim, playing at the rim. I thought it was a really, really hard game, quite honestly, to officiate because of all the physicality. I think some of the frustration probably bled over into both teams a little bit. I don't know what the reason was, but I think that's kind of the way they play. They've always been really good defensive like that. They've got switching lineups. They got lineups that they can just guard, normal pick and roll coverage. They bring Black off the bench, and he's really good defensively with size. But they're just a physical, long, athletic team.
Last thing for me, then, it seems like there's been a lot of games this year where you haven't been happy with the physicality, whether it's loose balls. I mean, you had guys diving on the ground. This seemed like if they can only bottle it now.
I loved it. I just, to your point, there was a couple ones in the first half where I just didn't think it was there. And, obviously, who knows, Wendell, goes up in time and it's an overtime, whether or not you win in overtime, who knows, right? But the way we played physically, even when Zach went down and Jalen went down with fouls, like, that's what I expect from our guys. And I know there's going to be times where we're going to be physically outmatched. Like, Boncaro is really, really a big, strong forward. There's going to be times where Modest or Julian's going to be at a disadvantage. But what you want to see is, okay, here's my job. I got to go do it physically. And if I get overpowered, I get overpowered. But there was too many times where there was loose balls. We were reaching for them. And I thought we were on the floor a lot more in the second half. I thought our bodies were in play a lot more. To your point, Kobe went after it. I mean, even the play he dove on it, I thought it should have been a foul. Wendell kind of jumped on him, but there was some tie-ups. I thought they dominated us in the first half on the loose balls. I thought the 50-50 was all in their favor. And I thought in the second half we did a better job evening that up.
Another game for Matas in double figures in the starting lineup. What have you liked most about what he's brought to that role in that spot?
Well, I mean, I think there's a lot for him to learn. He's a great kid. I think he takes coaching very well. I think he learns from his mistakes very well. I think if you speak to him, he'd probably tell you it wasn't his best in the first half. But, to his credit, he kind of course correct and I think was really, really impactful for our team in the second half.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep, thank you.